This rolling. Let's get this show on the road. We're gonna do something a little different today. I want to be a lot more messy with what I've been working on. So I've got this ready to go, and we're just gonna roll with it. So, all right, cool. First, we're just gonna get a quick design in. I've got some photographic reference that I am using here. But I just want to get some thoughts in here real quick. Let's see. Okay. Something like that. And there we go. I mean, just the basics. So I want to work in a way today that is a bit more conducive to the mess I want to make. So, you know what? I did all this on the canvas. No, I didn't. Cool. Alright, so this is like giving myself a basis to work on. Okay. I'm gonna get these shapes in. Cool. All right. All right. So we're gonna lay down this base layer of paint. I'm so excited about this. Let's see what happens. It could turn out to be a total crap show today, but it could turn out great, which is exciting. You know what? Stats? Was that? Aha, there we go. Okay, cool. Sorry guys, I was just messing around trying to get this back to where I was. So, okay, cool. So I'm laying in a background basic here. This is, you know what? Yeah, let's do that. Let's go back to, so if I'm going to do this, I'm going to have to mess around with the layers a lot more. Okay, cool. I'm going to go ahead and block this out a bit on this base layer. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to maximize the fact that I'm working digitally and have these layers that I can access that I can modify kind of at will. And then if I can do that, what I want to do is bring in, there we go. So I'm going to paint too much. And then what I'm going to do is after I paint too much, I'm going to go back in and I'm going to hopefully erase it. So let's go switch over to an eraser. When you know enough programs, you get used to where things are located, and then you completely don't know. Okay, so it's gonna switch on me. Do I have an erasers? I do. I have an erasers section. Cool. Let's see what this guy does. But I want an eraser. There we go. So that's too soft. Is this going to erase all the layers? No, it's just going to erase the one I'm on. Yay! Alright, so let's change the size of this guy. And so see, that's more. It's going to give me a chance to make big, bold marks and then be able to walk those back. Yes. So something like that. And then nice. See, that's kind of what I was hoping for. And then what I can do is okay, cool. Then I'll switch back over to a, oh, come on. Oh, I see what's going on. So let's go to, oh no, we want, nice. All right, let's not do that. Let's take, oh, can I do this? Opacity. Can I not do a, reference layer, rename layer options, show layer options. Ooh, that's funky. Huh. Okay, if it was in Photoshop, I could do that, but I can't here for some reason. I wonder if I just make it a convert to default layer. So yeah, I'm trying to be a little experimental, and so just kind of bear with me if you're watching, because I'm not. Let's see. Let's see, can I do that? Sad. See, I'm not be able to lock that layer. I'm trying. Oh, come on. Let's try a different. Really? Oh, it dumped. That will happen. It dumps more than I want it to, for sure. Yeah, this is funny because alright, I'm going to play with this again. So let's go back to layers. Just pop a new layer on here. I'm going to go hit Artist Oils. Dry palette knife. Okay. Okay, cool. So let's check the layers and see if I can lock this down. So I can lock down a transparency on a normal layer, but for some reason I can't lock down one on a thick paint layer. Yeah, that's lame sauce. Maybe in the upgrade they'll do it. All right. Go back to here. Okay, cool. So we're gonna We're going to do work on a normal layer right now. Alright, that's going to be probably more heavy than I need, but here we go. Let's go. Turn off clone, for heaven's sakes. Let's see if I can find a faster one. Cool. Nice. Okay, cool. So we're going to get this under layer here back again because we dumped it. Yay. All right, let's get back to what is going on over here. If you're watching, feel free to chat me up because I am just chilling out here. I'm trying to get this painting started. And it was started, and I ran into a hiccup because this program, as awesome as it is, has some bits and pieces that are weird. I'm gonna be a lot more messy today. This is gonna be a mess. I'm gonna love every minute of it. So let's see. So this is me just roughing out this printer. So the things I want to do today with this are to get it to a point where it's as messy as I want to be, and it's harder actually to be messy in digital because you have to make the movements that'll allow you to do that. In real life, in traditional media, it's easier to make a mess. It's easier to let things drip and kind of move around, but with digital, I find it's hard to get that nice mess that I really want. Let's see. Facebook, cool. We're gonna zoom down on this so I can watch my chat. All right, I've got reference, but I'm changing it so so much that I'm just using bits and pieces. All right. And this is just an underpainting, and I need to remember that. So this is my underpainting. Okay, cool. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start going into layers, because this is the whole point of today's... cool. And before I wanted to grab those layers and have them more accessible, because I'm going to be switching layers a lot more often. And Let's get that brush over there. Cool beans. All right, cool. So now I'm going to go for it. Here we go. So this is all right. So what I'm doing here is I'm putting in some really wild, not wild necessarily, but some strokes, and then I'm going to go back in and let's go. Okay, cool. Let's go to our erasers. All right. Why? Aha, that's what I want. Cool. So what I'm doing right now is I'm taking all those strokes and I'm backing off and I'm just creating shapes with those. So I'm taking that work and reducing it to bigger, larger shapes. And then that is its own separate layer. So and now I can add, come on, oh, yeah. I don't know why it does this. Okay, perfect. So let's do that. And then I can flip over and just grab my eraser and go like that, and then go back, same thing here. Grab that, make some marks, and then come back in. So this is a chance to like be way more messy and then correct it. So I tend to be a little bit too controlling around what's happening with my paint, and when I'm painting digitally I have a tendency to be far too controlling, and so I'm trying to loosen up quite a bit here. Worry less about making the perfect mark, worry more about creating a shape. So now, once I get enough of these marks in here that I like, nice. Nice. So I'm getting some cool shapes here now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to jump out of that mode of making those shapes. I'm going to start coloring those shapes. So with this program, I wanted a different thing, but we're going to lock that transparency. Photoshop does the same thing. So now I can just paint those shapes. So if I wanted to go in there and make those all a completely different color, I could do that, but now I'm going to add some variation to those shapes, and So now I can get some variation on those. So I'm going to grab a different style of brush. So now I can go in and play with the marks on those shapes and get that in there a little bit better. Nice. So this is kind of, that's nice. So this is what I'm aiming at. I want to get a little more messy, but still have the ability to separate these things out. This is nice. And it's starting to kind of achieve what I want to achieve with these marks. And so I can start looking at it as as shapes, and then I can recolor those shapes based off of how I feel the overall painting's going, and get much nicer. This is much nicer. Okay, cool. So now I'm going to switch to a different layer, and I'm going to put a different set of shapes on. So, yay, it's not working the way I want it to. It's okay. I'm going to go back to my... grainy pressure knife, because that seems to be working really well. Oh, it auto-locked this layer? That's interesting. Alright, so this is nice. This is a nice messy brush that I've got here too. It's big and blocky, so it's going to get these shapes in quickly. It's going to back and forth on me, so see, I can push and pull that way, and that's really nice. I like that a lot. So then I feel like this is going to get me where I want to go. So then what I can do is, I don't like that shape that certain way, so now I'm going to go back in and edit that whole shape, and because I'm using layers in a digital program, I can do that. Nice. Alright, I'm going to get rid of what's going on in my ears. Nice. And maybe add something. So I wish I could play music for you guys. I really do. Welcome everyone on YouTube. Please drop something in the chat, because I don't know if it works or not. So let's go hit that button right there. And I have to listen really quiet because my mic picks up my headphones sometimes, which is funny. Let's go look real quick at you guys and see if there are any. That's gonna come echo. Nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, if you're on YouTube, drop something in the chat. I would be curious to see if it picks up. I have a restream chat that's heading out, and if anyone if you would help me out, that'd be awesome. Just to see if if it's technically working. All right, so see, now I can go in. All right, let's get back to painting. I want that brush to be a little bit harder, so let's hit E. E. Nice. Not R. E. Did I not have that set up as... Can I do... erasers. See, this is bugging me. The program should work better than this. I want to be able to just flip it over and then... I need to get more clout so I can yell at people. So I can get on with Painter and be like, fix this. This is nonsense. I really like Painter because of the brushes. You can do a lot of the same things in Photoshop. It's just not as automatic, so you have to I need to start setting up my own kind of... You can set up your own brushes and stuff. It's just not necessarily intuitive, and there are things in Painter that you can do that you just can't do in Photoshop. Alright, so it's debatable as to whether I even like that color, but because I'm setting this up as its own separate layer, I can go in and edit that. So let's go ahead and lock that transparency down, and I'm going to go with a little bit warmer color to see if that makes any sense. And then I'm going to go with the complete opposite. I'm going to drop to a cooler color and see if that makes sense. Oh, that definitely gives a nice dark and light to it. So what we might do is color that road. Oh, that's right. This is locked down. What the heck? Oh my gosh. Do we have a last brush? Let's see. Yeah. There's a shortcut for that, I'm fairly sure. I just never use it. Because I haven't historically been using it quite this way. Ouch. Of course, more dragons. Thanks for dropping that in. Thanks, Chris. All right. More dragons. All right, let's see if we can... All right, so I'm thinking too linear on this. I gotta move it to a different... My brain's gotta go somewhere else because this is not gonna work if I keep going like this. It's really easy to do that and start thinking too linear on a painting like this, meaning natural steps sort of thing. It's like, what's the next natural step? Well, the next natural step is to, you know, paint this color here. And it's like, no, if you take digitally, if you're working in layers, then you can modify that. So let's grab that. I'm going to turn off that and get rid of that bottom corner there. And there's a risk of making the shape too sharp with the way I'm working right now too. So I have to make sure I'm thinking about how things blend. Did that switch over to an eraser? Because if it did, that's a little miracle. But I don't know how to consistently do that. I don't think that is. I think it's painting. Huh. Alright, cool. So, thanks, Chris. Thanks for getting other people to watch. Appreciate that. Alright, so now we've got... That's still the wrong color, isn't it? Okay. Okay, maybe that's an underpainting, and I'll go over the top of it. Let's do that. So I'm going to jump to the next layer, and then use... that opportunity to paint these other shapes. Yes. Now that's... Is that going with an alternate brush? So weird. I'm gonna have to go in and learn more about how this works. Because it's going in and... I'm gonna have to quick key this. Too small. So, question I guess is like where I need to step back and go with the design at this point and say, because I've been messing around with just how am I going to paint it, and now I think design's a big deal. I am using Corel Painter. It's a 1 to answer your question, Rose. I am using Corel Painter. It's a one-time pay thing, but they have regular updates that you have to pay for. So, well, you don't have to pay for them unless you want them. So, but it makes a lot more natural stuff. But really, there are tons of things that are cheaper or freer out there. So if you have an iPad, there's Procreate, which is apparently freaking awesome. I haven't ever used it. There is... See, I didn't... Why is that not switching the way I wanted to? Yeah, so if you have an iPad, that is definitely one way to go that just... People love it. People love Procreate. Like I said, haven't used it. So I don't have an iPad. I'm a little jealous though, because the guys who are using like the iPad Pro can just take that sucker anywhere and get a lot of painting in. And theoretically, you should be able to grab it from Procreate and go modify it in Photoshop if you need it. A lot of people use Photoshop as their drawing solution for digital. The trick is just having the pen set up to draw on a computer, whatever computer it is you're using. I like that color, but we're going to knock it down in intensity here. Oh, no, that's the opposite direction. There we go. Okay, so I've been ignoring the design of this painting for quite a while, and I am wondering where I've got to go next. If you aren't using, oh, that's the next question. So if you aren't using, or if you don't have access to Photoshop, there are other drawing programs for your computer if you're not using an iPad or that sort of thing. I think it's Affinity Photo is pretty cheap. It's like a one-time license. And then there are quite a few others that people draw in. Really, just get used to whatever program it is and learn to draw in that program. And then eventually at some point, as you keep going, you'll learn enough programs that you can just kind of naturally switch back and forth. Okay. Part of me wants to drag this whole thing down. Can I do that? Yeah. Yet another advantage of digital work. I mean, I just changed the entire design just by dragging it a little bit. And I like that way better. It puts everything where it needs to be. Oh, this isn't locked down anymore. Okay, cool. And using undo, while awesome, also I feel like it becomes a crutch. So we have to be very careful about how much we use undo. Ooh, excuse me. Okay. I'm going to combine these two layers. Burn. Collapse. There we go. And then let's do some erasing. What are the settings on this? This is going to drive me a little nuts. Okay, so this is like oh, interesting. I put the color wheel Huh. Okay, well, that makes sense. I can see why I did that. Oh, that's fine. So you caught me painting again instead of erasing like I want to. Hard habits to break. Let's edit preferences, customize keys. Shortcuts, probably tools, pen, eraser is N. What is E? Rotate? Why would rotate page be E? What's R? You guys. Let's rectangular selection command. Accepting change will remove check accept. Because me using R for that, and then so this is where you have to modify your programs and really start. There we go. Oh, come on. Block eraser. Let's do that. There we go. And bust up the size a little bit. Cool. What is the setting? So this is kind of like, what you're seeing is me totally messing around with settings and trying to get this. That's not what I wanted you to do. Set up the way I want. I will admit there's some things that Photoshop does better. Tool switch is definitely one of those. Alright, let's see what happens now. Of course it did. Alright, let's warm this back up. Hello, Facebook followers. Welcome, welcome. Drop some stuff in the chat. I'm trying to get this. I'm struggling against technical issues right now, and I really should be thinking more about design and then struggling against it. Let's do that. Let's go back up to that sky and get, because I think part of the problem is just the treatment of the overall design. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna do something evil and go over the top of that. And then I'm gonna race back into it. Maybe the thing to do is just get the use last brush thing down and stop trying to switch back and forth between the eraser and I don't mind that too much. What is that command? Oh, I'm an idiot. It's right there. Okay, cool. You can tell when a Canon starts thinking because his shut upper turns on. Someone ought to save this at some point. Somebody should save this drawing at some point. What a novel idea. I think I shall. That's interesting. Let's go make a overlay on top of that, and then erase back into it. So now I feel like this whole section is over saturated. Okay, cool. So how I'm going to deal with that is I'm just going to make a bunch of crazy marks here with a color that's quite a bit desaturated. And then change the blend mode out. Interesting. It's not wrong. That saturated it more. So at this point, a lot of it is experimentation to see what works and what doesn't. So now it's a question of transparency. And I could just knock it back into some other shapes here. So use this eraser to go in and ow. Well, what I'm getting is a lot more bright colors because of the way I'm working. This is... and this is really stretching my ability to think non-linearly. Linearly in a non-linear fashion. Because I'm now starting to have to think about layers and different possibilities that come from that rather than thinking about it as a, let's see, this is default. No, okay, cool. Oh, that's because I have the wrong thing on. Cool. Yeah, this is really pushing my ability to think in this non-linear fashion of painting. And I feel like this could be really good for me because it's pushing my brain. Honestly, like, and part of the problem too is I'm coming to this painting without necessarily a point of view on what I want the end result to look like. From a colors, hues perspective, I was just focused today on using this this different approach to painting digitally. So I was just focused on the technical aspects of it, and not worried about maybe getting a good painting out the bottom of it. And as I work through it, now I'm like, okay, well, how would you use this technical style to get a good painting out of it? Because I'm really up against a bunch of technical issues right now in how I would achieve that. And it's been really enjoyable so far. It's kind of like letting me loose up. Let's go ahead and grab a much darker color for this job right here. Alright, because I don't want to... There we go. I'm adding these leading lines in here, and then I can go in and mess with them in a second. So I'll switch back over to my eraser style and edit these lines. Nice. It gives me some kind of creative control around adding in some big pieces. I like that. I like bits and pieces of it. Like the whole painting, I'm like looking back, I'm like, needs a lot of work. But the bits and pieces, I feel like I'm getting a lot out of working this way. Let's go over to this layer right here. And the question is, too, is what point do you switch tools? I haven't mocked this. What's going on? It's allowing more mess, which is what I want. I want to be able to be more messy in the way I paint. Messy might not be the right word. Alright, so what is going on here? All right, let's be a little more courageous. And this is the thing. It's like you get involved in one of these paintings, and you start caring about it, and then you're too afraid to make stupid decisions. And so you stop making good quality stupid decisions like you need to get a good painting out of it. So yeah, good solid stupid decisions that'll allow us to give us something to act on. You don't have to make good decisions. You have to make bad decisions well. That's how I'm gonna say it. What happened? Okay. So I'm going to lead you through what I'm seeing a little bit here with regard to how the overall painting's going. What I'm seeing here is kind of a uniformity of brushstroke. That can be good or bad. In this case, I don't think it's terribly good. So I do want to branch out here in a bit and change that. And that's a matter of changing tools and processes, and which doesn't take much. It's just finding what you want next. So I'm also seeing too much uniformity of color and value. So I'm going to go in and add, I'm just going to leave that just the way it is. I'm going to go to this top layer and just make another layer. And then just start adding some value decisions in here that are stupid too. Stupid meaning not smart in this case. It's like not hyper thought out. Just give me something to react to.
I found this for you.
Oh, thanks there, Cortana. See, I'm already adding life to this painting just by messing with the decisions that I'm making about value. I'm digging that. So once again, I'm using two similar brushstroke and size and stuff. So let's go back that off just a touch. And then knowing full well that I can edit this. That's the thing, is like working in a way that allows me to be more loose in my decisions. That's what I'm aiming for with this. Digitally. It's time to stretch and zoom out. See that I'm not carrying. Some of the stuff that's bugging me is just design. I'm starting to dig what's going on with the color of that road. Going in and adding those weird cracks definitely did something for it. So yeah, go ahead. This is see, when you back off this far, you're starting to make design decisions versus necessarily like detailed painting decisions. So that's something that has needed to be addressed for a while now with this painting. But you have to be willing to fail. That's one of the key bits to, well, I think anything, but art, something that's progressive like this, is just the pure willingness to fail and to have something be completely imperfect that's sitting right there in front of you, and knowing that you can't fix it right now. Knowing that it's going to take quite a while to get to a place where it's fixable. So the failure is really important in this sort of thing. Nice. So you can see as like it starts to develop kind of in an odd way. I'm going to pop another layer on there because I have a feeling that this is going to be messy. Cool. So that's too much. All right, let's back way off and look at design. See, because the design is still elusive. I'm still having trouble with that. I usually start with the design, but because of the way I wanted to work today, I just didn't. Which is fine, because reversing how you work is a good way to see where you're breaking down. It allows some creativity. Oh, still not. What happens if I just... Once again, working this small is about design, so you don't concern yourself with individual brush strokes. You're thinking about dark and light, and maybe about colors. And it might have been best to do a dark light sketch underneath this first to give myself a better idea, but like I said, this is pretty experimental. This is me trying to figure out how to paint digitally. And the question is, can you find success if you haven't defined it? Or if you, in this case, if I don't understand what success looks like, or if I'm having a hard time identifying success because I feel like all the failure is happening elsewhere. So maybe the best thing to do in this case would have been to start with something defined, have a good design down, and then try to achieve that with a new technique, right? There's so much orange in this painting. Oh my gosh. We gotta balance that out. The original photo, I mean, has quite a bit of orange, but I've just shot the crap out of it and made it worse, because I've gone a lot more saturated. I've gone a lot more saturated than the actual photo. That's the sound of the phone hitting the ground, man. That's not cool. Oh, well. If we're going to be that way about it. Okay. I can see how this painting method is going to take a lot more courage of me than I have been allowing in the past. So just being able to come in and do things like this needs to be a thing, right? Because now you can see how that brought a whole lot of life to the overall painting. And let's back the opacity off a bit. Come on. Nothing like being able to do something by accident once and then not be able to do it again. That's fun. Yeah, see, that's the sort of thing that should have happened early. That needs to happen early in a painting. To understand the overall design first. And how you want to proceed. I think maybe at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this and start completely over. There are some things in here I really like, don't get me wrong. But I feel like maybe the important thing is to be less precious about it. And get a brand new... I gotta get a mouse pad. This table is not mouse friendly. Alright, so we're going to do the exact same thing, but we're going to start in a different way. So this is kind of a traditional color right here. And then let's go. Let's get a bigger size here. I'm listening to stuff on my phone here, and this sounds like goldfish. It is goldfish. Oh, if only you guys could hear. All right. Noise. I'm almost wondering if part of my problem generally in painting is that I start too saturated, and I could get some gains by starting desaturated and working up in saturation. Let's grab. There we go. Now it's all wet. And now we can get up. It's going to have a tendency to drive me too much into detail too, having that color on there. Okay. Funny. Hmm. let's delete this layer. And just put a new one on. And so now I'm going to go just dark. And then use another layer. So I'm going to go back to that layer, or to that working style. But rather than have it, yeah, so I was doing all this stuff on the same layer just barely, and now I'm like, that was the wrong way to work. Let's go back to working in multiple layers and then erasing back. So I'm going to add another layer and do this. Grab an eraser. I've gone silent again. It's okay. Back here. Okay, now maybe let's not get that small yet. Cool. Let's get darks in on top here. So I'm going to grab that and go quite a bit darker with it. And a little bigger. More. There we go. So getting some of these darks in here and helping to understand the overall design first. This brush is such an oddity. Depending on which way you push it, gives you kind of a scrape versus a add. But it's not clean at all. Let's go ahead and add this in here. Okay, now let's go ahead and add this section in here. Carry it up to right there. See, that's better on the design. So I've got a much better design now than when I was working just with color. So it adds, it's helpful to go in and just do design first and work out that, because otherwise you're working with too many variables all at once if you're working with color and value and design and strokes and like different brush shapes, that sort of thing. I feel much better about the design now than I did before, and I still have some work to do on it. So now I feel like design's good. Maybe I'll be able to go and be a little more free on how I modify it. Excuse me. Push, 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 push. When in doubt, simplify. Yeah. Bringing that down. I like that. Let's go ahead and go a couple more steps down from there even. Get this road darker as it gets closer to us. And then that focus is going to carry up more into the middle of that painting. Let's go back over here and grab my eraser. That's too small. Nice. So we end up with a much better design just by thinking about the design first. And I like that much better. Even though I had some really cool elements happening, and now I'm starting to mix the layers perhaps more than I should. Let's go. Where did I get it? Okay, cool. Here. Nice. All right, cool. So then at this point, let's just add a new layer on top, and then I'm going to work in batches of different levels of color. Okay, cool. That'll work. So now I'm adding in some... Alright, I need to stop being so careful. Because I'm going to use these as overlays and erase them back in. So I need to stop worrying about getting the exact right shape. Worry a little more about color. Being the right hue and saturation. That's a little much. And then I just want an approximate. What's my opacity looking like? Okay. And then I can carve those shapes back out of it. See, I'm already liking some of the stuff that's happening. So now when I get my block eraser, I'm going to get some really hard edge shapes, which I could eventually flatten and blend these. But right now, and I don't want to, what I don't want to do is mess with the design too much. So getting we're looking at shape, size, and placement. So we're still thinking about design. And are things too similar? Are they too close to the same size. Carve back into that. I'm going to leave that because I think it's interesting. Having that big block. And then those small shapes right there. Kind of getting some weird shapes. Nice. Alright, we'll take some of that off. Nice. So then I'm going to go to the next layer. And it's just we'll choose a different color and see what happens here. You know, I want more of that. More bigger. Hmm. Alright, let's just go to another layer and see what happens. Let's go back to that way of working that I was thinking about. So I'm going to get a lot more here than I want. And then carve it back in. I'm getting too careful right off the bat, and so I can see how the danger is going to be. I'm just not going to work fast enough, and I'm not going to get quite the aliveness that I want out of the painting if I do it that way. So now I'm going to switch over to my different style of brush here, basically an eraser, and carve back in. That gives me some crazy shapes. Now, if I click the lock button on that, then I can grab and go grab a Sargent brush and mess around with that a bit. So if I grab this and just slightly modify the color, then that's going to be, it's going to add a little variety to these strokes. And these shapes. I like that, it's bringing them to life. That's pretty freaking cool. Holy cow. This day has cruised by. Okay. Still not loosening up the way I want to. It's an interesting fight. I'll give it that. Doesn't have to happen all in one day, right? If it did, it probably wouldn't be worth it. Alright, let's grab... What does this give me? Okay, cool. You know what? I see what needs to happen. Let's try. We're going to go all the way over to purple. And add in some of this type of stuff. And that is really, really bright purple. Now I can modify that. Alright, I think it's time for a break. Which means I'm going to shut down. Thank you everyone for joining me. You guys have a wonderful day. And we'll see if we can get more done later. Thank you.